YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. What do we have today? It's a second thoughts on the Commander mPd. This is a beautiful plane. You'll like it a lot. It's got lots of features, safe AS3X equipped, and of course reverse thrust, which is super nice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fly it for you tonight. Nice calm night. We're just enjoying the benefits of daylight savings, which just started again. Take off flaps. Here we go. 2200 4S. Just a little bit squirrely. Just a little teeny bit squirrely once you get on the mains. Beautiful. Beautiful. So guys, if you've never experienced the Commander, it's a great plane. You will really enjoy it. Of course, it's got an amazing roll rate. Flies really quick. Inside pass, please. Love the checkerboard on the bottom of the wings. Obviously looks like a racing bird, but it handles just really nicely. Of course, with that Avian ESC, you get all the smart telemetry, which is really nice. You can fly it like you stole it, or you can relax and do some slow flight performance. It's maybe not quite as good as some of the warbirds we've seen, but it does really nice. It does slow down nicely, as you can see, just cruising around. Very scale looking performance on final. Trying to get a little bit of, I got like a little bit of a walk on the aileron axis. I'm trying to take out of it. Camera crew, stop there. Let's see if I can get a touch and go. Really sticky. Oh, geez. What are you doing, cat? That was one of our numerous cats. Decided it'd be a good idea to run down the runway. We'll do some figure eights here and try to dream of a world without cats attacking my planes on final. Beautiful. Watching out for the cherry there. The cherry hasn't leafed out yet, so it's very easy to disappear. Just go over where the damn runway is going to be. Don't forget to use that rudder to help keep that nose exactly where you want on those high-speed passes. And on 4S, this thing really performs well. It's got plenty of speed to keep you excited. It's got lots of ups. And then, like I said, you don't have to cruise around with the throttle locked all the way at the end of the stroke. You can if you want, but I just feel like this plane does really good. I'm gonna flip it over here. Oh yeah, really good upside down performance. Very symmetrical on the elevator. And it's just gonna make you feel in control. And obviously this plane is just beautiful. We did a pylon racer the other day. Very nice looking plane, but I just feel like this thing is so much more balanced. I feel like it does what it does really exceptionally well. But then you can throw in some basic aerobatics without any problems. You can do more extreme stuff if you want too, but I just don't know if it suits the interest of a pylon racer. Beautiful. Love the differentiation in colors. I bring this around. Probably do an inside pass so you can give me 3 steps. That'd be great. Thank you. Toward me, please. Thank you. Absolutely gorgeous. Here's our timer. We'll stall turn at the top. I'm finding that deep hole and sticking it right in there. Definitely feel like I got a little bit of rudder issue going there. Trying to squeeze that little bit of performance out of it. Absolutely gorgeous, nice slow roll. A little bit of elevator trim. Okay, come back with me. Perfect. We'll show you guys this spot here. We like to take this hole sometimes. You know, if you get tired of the hole you stick it in normally, you can try other holes. Hey, I finally got a decent touch and go. That's always nice. Man, that was like wonky up at the top. Probably because I was still in the throttle. Yeah, we're getting to where it's gonna be dead stick pretty quick here. I'm gonna try a landing this way. I think our lighting is better. Okay. Take off flaps, come back a step for me. Thank you, right there. Little landing flaps, let's see if we can slow it down. Just gonna go over the top of the tree line. A little bit of slip, a little bit of slip, a little bit of slip. Okay, just keep it in the throttle. We got flight till we get here. Then we'll just kind of try to put it down and then give it a little bit of thrust reverse just to slow it down. And as you can see, thrust reverse is one of my best, favoriteest, most features. And with the Commander, it definitely makes me smile every time because it's just a great flying plane. And as you can see, we're at 1 minute 40 over 5. So 6 minutes of flight time on a 1.4 meter flown on 2200 4S. That's a good flight time. And I feel like I almost want to do one more flight. Let's do one more flight. We're going to reset. In fact, we'll show you the battery bay. If you guys haven't seen our unbox build radio setup, camera crew is going to film me and we'll go ahead and swap that out. Throttle cut's on. Guys, use your throttle cut. I use switch H for that. Keep you a little bit safer than you would be if you didn't use it. Really big canopy makes for easy battery loading. And you can see I'm right in the middle here. I almost feel like I could have gone just a hair forward and it might have helped it just a little bit. In fact, a little extra weight probably wouldn't hurt on this airframe because it's so lifty. And 2200 4S 30C, you could also go up to a 50C and get a little bit more performance boost too. So if you guys are curious or you want to do a little bit longer flight time, you know what we ought to do? Let's pause. I'll go grab a 3200 4S and come right back. Okay, so we got a 50C pack, 3200, considerably heavier battery. I'm just kind of curious how this thing will CG out. I'd like to see if we get away from some of that tendency we were noticing when I was flying on that last flight. I noticed it wanted to lift a little bit under throttle. And that's one of those things that I like to get rid of on, especially on a faster plane like this. It's supposed to be like a pylon racer looking style of plane. So we'll show you. Definitely fits in there, no problem. Okay, throttle cut's already on. That's one of the reasons why we really like smart batteries. They're just super easy to work with. And then we'll see how our CG turns out. Okay. So the CG, of course, is marked on our wing. We always like to mark it. And it's kind of ugly. But the thing is, on the front hole, we're even. On the back hole, we're a little bit nose heavy. So what I'll do is, I'm gonna try to get this thing just spot on. And so in order to do that, all I really have to do, probably slide the battery back just a hair. So if you guys are brand new to the hobby and you're getting into a plane like the Commander, which by the way, I would say there's probably easier planes, but it wouldn't be like a terrible third or fourth plane, especially if you have a sweet spot in your heart for this style of plane. Like if you grew up watching pylon racing, I never did. So I was more about warbirds and scale planes. Okay, so finding my marks with my hands, I bounce it on my middle finger, because it's the longest finger for me on my hand. A little bit nose heavy still, a little bit favoring toward nose heavy. So I think I want to run with that just because the heavier pack. I definitely don't want to make it tail heavy. And then whenever you load a new battery, I always like to scroll over here and I can see that. And that's one of my favorite things when you get these bind and fly planes from E-flite, is that they come with that screen, which is so nice. All right, so we'll go ahead and take off this way while the sun is just going over the crest of the horizon there. Okay. See, as you roll, oh yeah, it feels nice. Just trying to get it square. Because right now, what I'm feeling, it's hard to explain, but there's just a little hesitation to one side during takeoff and landing. You see that hole, guys, we're flying through there? It's a beautiful hole to hit because it just goes forever. But you see how it's favoring to the left? Just a hair, really hard to tweak that little teeny bit of disparity out in the flight path. Oh man, it's just gorgeous. Look at the light hit that plane. Absolutely fantastic flight performance. Take off flaps, out of the flaps. See now it's pushing down just a hair with throttle. I don't know if you guys can tell that. In throttle all the way around. As soon as I let off throttle, you see that little bit of a correction. And what I'm doing is I'm changing my orientation to see if it dips. And all I'm doing is just trying to get it dead straight, like arrow straight. A little bit of rudder from me that time. There we go, beautiful. Over the top of the hole this time, just to be a little safer. And then up, we'll bring it pretty quick this time. You good? Mm-hmm. A little bit of rudder. High speed pass, really high speed pass. There we go, beautiful. Then we'll go into a stall turn here. A little bit of kick of throttle just to get it around, and then we're gonna glide it past. A little bit of throttle to track to the prop. Going to hit the hole. Absolutely gorgeous, folks. Going way around the fox killing zone. Really huge orbit over that spot that's killed so many planes in our lives. Right over the top of the cherry. And then a little bit of presentation pass. And then we'll give you another presentation like that, and then down and around. Right around. Doing an inside pass, you good? Mm-hmm. There we go, beautiful. There it is, pop it up there. Get out of the throttle hard, bring it around a little bit cleaner. Hard on the throttle on the way downhill, another presentation. And just bring it up. I love that look where it is in the sky, where the sun is still lighting it up. Oh, so gorgeous outside pass this time. Beautiful. Gotta love it, hitting the big hole. We're gonna have a lot longer flight time. Feels really good on this size pack, I gotta say. I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought maybe we'd bog it down, but boy, I tell you what, this plane does not care. It has such low wing loading, and it just loves flying, guys. Loves it. That's full throttle all the way around that loop. Full throttle again, just a little tiny, teeny, tiny rudder corrections to keep my position. And then obviously going up high enough to miss the trees. The trees are hard to see, of course. Janking it back down, we'll power it down the hole. Do you guys see the kick at the top? That's torque. Guys, if you have a plane that torques like that, imagine how much you saw that torque just now. If you get the V1200, it's gonna torque 3 times as much, folks. 50C pack really kicks this up. But the 3200 just being heavier gets my CG a little bit more tamed. And I really like the way this thing is flying now. A lot better than the 2200. With regard to the performance, it looks just fantastic up against that purple sky. I love dipping down and then dipping back out and just seeing that beautiful color change. And then that silhouette just to die for, folks. Following right along. I'm so hard on the throttle. I try not to do that to my planes, but I'm doing it right now. I'm probably gonna puff this pack hard on the throttle to arrest my inertia downhill and coming right back down the strip. Hard on the throttle again. Presentation and turn. You guys see how quick and agile those turns are. It's so easy to do. Gotta love it when the planes make you look good as a pilot. It makes you feel good as a pilot too, and that's why you want one, so check it out from the links in the video description below. Absolutely love it. Down, outside pass to our left. Hard, there we go, and around. Keep that rudder hard, keep it tight right along the tree line, and then out over the damn road. Doesn't exist yet, but it's gonna be there. Inside pass, take the rudder. Whatever direction you're flying, you gotta use that control axis to do it. Almost had a bird strike there. Hard on the throttle, get that thing squared up, and then right over the dam. Beautiful. That's our timer. We're gonna roll it, turn and burn. Beautiful. Upside down, out of the throttle. Let's see how it performs, guys. You see this? Upside down stall tendencies. Oh, that's awesome. So cool. Hard on the throttle. Use the rudder to keep her flat and just beautifully roll it into the sunset. It's like the credits of Top Gun. Just love that beautiful, beautiful silhouetting. Now, if you guys are brand new to the hobby and you're trying to figure out how to get where we are, just start flying something today. Don't wait till tomorrow. If it's this plane, you could pick a worse one, but I'm not gonna suggest this as a beginner plane. It's probably more of a third or fourth inside pass this time. Hard on the throttle at the bottom of this. Yeah, beautiful, going through the hole, as you can see right there. Absolutely love it, folks. A little bit of rudder, arrest that turn, beautiful pass, tight. Look how tight you can do that. Right into that beautiful sunset. Gotta love it. Full flaps. Look at that thing slow down. Absolutely gorgeous. Take off flaps. We're gonna do an inside pass here. I think I got a lot of elevator correction on my takeoff flaps here and a slip. Out of the flaps. Oh, yes. Guys, I just can't get enough of it. It looks so dang good. I just want to keep going forever, and I got about 20% left on this pack. I feel like I'm sagging it less than I did on the 2200 because the load on the 2200 was pretty fierce, and so it was pulling down that pack really hard. This one doesn't pull as hard. So you see, it pulls it, but it doesn't pull it as hard. That 2200 was sagging every time I would hit it hard with throttle. So maybe that 3200 is where it's at, guys. Up and over, and then down the runway. Just glide, 10% throttle. Keep that prop spinning. Get it close. Miss the UPS stick, and then up. Guys, I have to take those tight turns up there because there's a cherry right at the end of the runway that you probably can't see. And we're trying to move it. We're supposed to move it this winter. We just didn't quite get it done because every time we thought we could do it, we'd get snow. Oh, it looks so gorgeous. I'm taking one more pass in front of that sun here. Guys, if you don't have an opportunity to fly in these beautiful sunsets, you gotta get out. You gotta take advantage. It's just absolutely fantastic time of year to fly. Everybody's been cooped up for so long, too long. Get a little altitude so we can trade it off for this landing if we can get it. I'm gonna go right over the top of that UPS stick. Ah, screwed that one bad. We'll just do a little thrust reverse. No problem, guys. Who needs a 275 foot long runway? Not this guy, not that pilot. He's just gonna back up and he's gonna do it all over again. Guys, check this out. Let's just back right up to the end of the runway. We've got at least a couple more passes. I'd like to get at least 1 or 2 greasy landings if possible. Here we go, full throttle, or the 50% throttle. Get that tail up, there it is, guys. Ride that thing, boom! Okay, there's our vocal alarm, which is a voice alarm in this case. Take off flaps. 50% throttle, landing flaps here. We're just gonna slow this thing down really gently, bring it down to the ground right over the top of the trees. See if we can get this thing down. Beautiful, flight to the ground, flight to the ground. Full throttle, reverse thrust, wiggle, wiggle.
6 amps, 111 Fahrenheit.
Okay, so she's telling me some things. Why is she telling me these things? She's like, Brian, don't take off again. So what do we do when we hear that? What do we do?
I think you're going to take off.
Yes, if it'll go, if it fits, it ships. Because I don't have enough crashes today. Yeah, that thing is not very juicy right now. Okay, landing flaps. We like the dead stickers. Here we go, guys. Beautiful, beautiful. Wingtip, we want to lose some of that inertia. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Beautiful. Thrust reverse and perfect. Guys, nice greasy landings for you to enjoy. She's talking a bunch about speeds and temperatures and all sorts of stuff I don't care about because I was going to ignore her anyway. But guys, what I'm not going to ignore is how beautiful that thing looks in the air. And I gotta say, I'm surprised how much more lackluster it felt on 2200 30C. I did not expect that. We pretty much had sized this thing at 2200 4S. I mean, based on the recommendations of the manufacturer, it's not like I come up with that. But I gotta say, that 3200 really woke it up nicely. And I gotta say, in terms of the way this plane looks, I'll go ahead and back taxi it to us. Throttle cuts off. We're in thrust reverse, out of the flaps. I gotta say, the only thing I was noticing about this plane that was a little bit unusual is if you just, man, look at those lines, so gorgeous. If you guys haven't ever experienced the Commander, you gotta get one. Check it out in the links of the video description below. Very fun plane, very well behaved, and definitely worth considering. But what I wanna show you is right here. If I go to the takeoff flaps, I feel like this is too much. I felt like we needed like 3 maybe, or 2 even. It just didn't need hardly anything. And so I felt like when I was getting into it, it was really starting to kick my attitude down way too much. And so it's small, super minor adjustments sometimes that make the difference between a really well-behaved plane. And look at my trims, guys. The trims are all over the place on this plane. 40, 28, 32. Good Lord, guys. I never have that kind of trim. I don't know what happened on this one. Maybe we were enjoying an adult beverage when we did the radio setup or something.
Did we fly it? And
we probably flew it in wind is probably what happened. But I gotta say, the plane is really feels good. And one thing I like about the E-flite brand, as opposed to some of the other competitive brands, and that's not to take anything away from the other brands, is just more that I feel like you get a more refined package. And I can't say that it's 100% of the time that that's true, but it is most of the time that it's true. And here's the thing, there might be a small premium, like 10, 15 bucks on some of the planes, but I would say, and then every once in a while there's a bigger premium. But I would say that most of the time, what you're really getting is a better value because you're getting the bind and fly with the receivers. So this comes with the 630 and the 631 rather. And the 631 is not a cheap receiver because you've got AS3X and safe built in right there, which is super nice. And as you can see, our pack is living the dream right there. It's a little bit toastadelic. It's kind of like, why did you do this to me, Ryan? Why do you always punish me like this? Well, that's because I want to punish you, plane. I want to use you, and you guys should want to use this plane too. All I've got to say is there's a lot of planes. Megan and I have been moving planes out of the basement to make room for a construction project. It's been terrible. I mean, really terrible because we have a lot of planes. And whatever the dungeon tour was last time, it's at least 3 times as bad as what you remember. And every time I touch one of those planes, load it in the car, drive it to our other site, it just hurts my soul. And fortunately, I haven't touched this one and moved it yet. So I was like, yes,
but
let's
you can
fly
get to it.
I could get to it. That's true. That's one of the issues we've had is just trying to get the planes accessible. But I gotta say, look at the rudder right now. See that? Look how far that is.
You were wiggling around all over on the ground.
I was wiggling around, but even neutral. See?
Yeah, it is.
I've snapped it back. Look how far off the center that is.
Gracious.
Folks, that's nuts. So just it goes to show you, having a centered control surface is not always the way it needs to be. And that could be a function of a little bit of torque roll when you're getting ready to get up. And I noticed on this one, it's got the real short landing gear. So when you kick that tail up, it is really kind of hard to get that thing up there. Once you're up, you're pretty good, but it has this tendency to want to really kick back and forth right when you disengage from the ground. That's not always true because usually what happens is when you kick off the ground, you get that one kick from the torque trying to pull the plane over. And we counter that by pointing down and to the right. And that you can see that on almost every plane. It's kind of hard to see on this one. Yeah. And I wonder if, because this thing is like a pylon racer, there's maybe a little bit less of that you would normally expect to see on a general aviation style plane. But I gotta say, the Commander mPd 1.4 meter, really good example of a good plane that you're gonna get. It's a solid everyday flyer. You're not gonna get it and think, boy, I wish I didn't get that, because it's just like this other one. This kind of makes me think like P-47, but I just want to fly it for fun. Like I just want to go and do pylon racing. I don't want to like pretend I'm bombing somebody or shooting guns or something like that. This thing is really fun. Now, do you want the P-47? Obviously you do. But I'm just gonna say, I'm a sucker for scale looking planes. I love the way this looks. I love the way it flies. And those idiosyncrasies in trim are a little bit strange. So in terms of drawbacks on this plane, there's two that I can think of. Obviously the trim issues that we talked about are sort of weird. Now, also there's no LEDs on this particular model. I would love to have LEDs right now because that sunset is gorgeous. It's very comfortable right now. The wind is dead calm. We haven't had conditions like this for a long time. And so really what I would like to do is I'd like to keep flying. If I had some appropriate LEDs on here, I would feel totally comfortable flying this for a ways. One of the reasons we can't is because, as you can see, flanking both ends of our runway, we've got trees that aren't foliated. We have no leaves.
Yeah.
And so the leaves help you to judge depth. And I'm gonna tell you right now, we've changed so much over in the bowl right now that we have to be super careful over here. And you may notice me being a little bit more reserved. That's just because I'm still not totally used to where that tree line ends on the left. If you can point with your finger, good luck seeing the difference between the foreground and the background when you have naked trees and naked trees in the background. It's almost impossible. Now, once you get some foliation on there and you've got leaves or maybe some flowers at the beginning of the season, this one over here is a cherry. It's gonna bloom out. It's gonna be all white. It's gonna be absolutely amazing. But it's gonna help me to see the difference between the background and the foreground.
Yep.
Now, way back there, you can see the foreground from the background, but it's so far off, you're talking about a mile away.
Yeah.
Right? You can see the difference here, but you kind of know about what you're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to stuff that's close like this, you know, you're talking about 150-foot difference between that side of the road and this side of the road, maybe 100-foot difference. And that difference is really hard for your eye to tell.
And when we used to have, there was this hole that you used to hit over here.
Yep.
Those trees were taller, so you could tell from the trees in the background. And these on both sides
They
right
blend
now really
right
blend
with
in
the tree
until we're
line.
used to it.
Yep. And so like 30 minutes ago when the sun was here, you could see these lit in the foreground, and then the ones in the background were not lit anymore.
Yep.
And so it's super easy to differentiate. But I know you guys, a lot of times people are asking us about that because we fly in maybe slightly tighter quarters than some, not as tight as some other people. I mean, some people fly in the middle of woods and stuff, and that's like their whole
crazy.
thing. Which is fine, to all their own. Everybody likes to fly different, and that's totally fine. If you have a propensity to want to fly in, you know, like a FRIA or, you know, at the club or whatever, that's fine. We don't have anything against that. But where we fly, we built our club. So when we're done with that damn runway, it's gonna be a crosswind strip. It's gonna be absolutely gorgeous. We're gonna have a helipad down here. This is gonna be extended probably another 100-ish feet to the end of the helipad, I'm guessing. And it just kind of depends on how things line up. We aren't totally done with the dirt work yet.
Yep.
But when that dam gets built, it's gonna be something else. We can't wait to share it with you. It's gonna be so much fun.
And we don't own all of these trees, and we're not cutting down more trees.
No, we love trees. I would cut down 0 trees.
We
I would plant more trees. We
more
planted
trees.
trees right here,
Yep.
which some of you guys thought you're a nut job. Well, trust me.
Well, yeah, but
When husbands and wives come home with trees on Mother's Day or Father's Day or whatever day it was, normally the conversation is, I need to keep a flight line.
yeah, no.
That dominates our conversation when we plant trees.
Yeah, it does.
Like we can't block the flight line.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things that we've been struggling with as we've done this pond project. We saved a lot of the tree line that was wrapped around the back of the house. And we love the tree line
More than
because
we
it gives
thought.
us a backdrop.
Yep.
And it also helps to hem in the property from wind, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So if you have a prevailing wind, it'll help knock down the wind to a certain extent. Also creates turbulence though when it's really windy. And that's something else you may not be aware of. But in terms of the Commander, this plane is gonna put up to light wind conditions. It's gonna do fine. However, when I fly for fun, when I really wanna fly is like this. Little to no wind. Why? Because I wanna fly the plane. I don't wanna fly the wind. Now, there's one huge exception to that. What's the huge exception, camera crew?
PPG?
Slope soaring.
Oh,
Slope soaring
Yes.
can't really be done without wind. And so I will go out on the windiest of windy days to our undisclosed location and slope soar. But it's like 3 hours plus drive away from where we live. So it's not something we can do every day. And because the Army Corps of Engineers controls dams, they basically don't allow drones because like that would like hurt ducks or something stupid like that. So anyway, unfortunately, that's the reality. I would like to figure out a way to get around that now that we have the remote ID module, the Sky. I wonder if there's a way for us to legally do it. But I'll have to look into that a little bit more because there's nothing quite like slope soaring. If you haven't ever done it, you have to find a site, you have to slope soar. If you're from one of the coasts and you can do it every day, I'm jealous because you always got that inland wind and then you've got the outland wind. And it's just, you know, each day you've got that whole cycle. But then you guys deal with wind all the time too. When we're here in the middle of the plains, the flyover territory, in the Midland, USA, we don't have to deal with that. But we have prevailing winds and we have trade winds during the seasonal changes. And so during fall and during spring, we tend to get a lot of wind. So that's pretty typical. Anyway, guys, hopefully we answered all your questions about this mPd Commander 1.4. It's really good. You'll like it. If you want to buy one, follow the links in the video description below. You will help to satiate our desire to pay for gigantic projects like what's going on in the backyard. It is not definitely cheap to do. It really does help, though, to support us financially. And the thing that's nice about it is we have so many people that support us on Patreon and PayPal, YouTube Super Thanks, and YouTube members. But really, at the end of the day, our big thing, and this is our big poll to the audience, if you're watching, you want to help support us financially, one of the best things you can do is bring home a plane, buy it from our link and then we'll get support and it comes from somebody else, which is kind of nice. You don't have to cut the check for that, they do. But at the same time, we want to perpetuate this hobby as much as possible. And, you know, if you're buying planes at the hobby shop or you're buying them from some other influencer, we understand that stuff happens. We're not trying to, you know, nickel and dime you on every detail of every transaction. But the truth is, we know you guys are out there supporting us and we really appreciate it because we couldn't do it without your help. And we really are doing it. So don't forget that. There's a lot of people that talk a big game and we deliver, we hope, maybe. Not always in the skills or the helicopter skills in particular. I wish I could be a better heli pilot, but I think that takes time and I don't have a lot more time because we already spend a lot on this. So if you guys want to know more about the Commander mPd, you can also click on the link in the video description below. You can scroll down and there's manuals and support documents like spare parts or upgrade parts if you want to get a different ESC or you want to get a charger or battery that would pair up with this plane nicely. Our links will bring you to the results for this particular plane. So there might be one that's a plug and play and one that's a bind and fly. You want the one that's a bind and fly if you want to get it just like we did. Also, as this video comes to an end, you're going to see some screens that come up. Those end screens will take you to the playlist for this plane, a link to Brian Phillips RC, which is our website and domain. We also have that in the description above at the very top. And when you go there, you can sort by plane type or by manufacturer, hobby shop, distributor, whoever you happen to work with on a video. So you can find this plane and maybe there's one that's just like a little bit different. Maybe you're not into this one or you already got this one. You just wanted to see how we'd fly it compared to the way you're flying it. But you do want to get something and you want something that's just close. Go over there. You can sort by general aviation, airliners, jets, warbirds, EDF planes, it's all that stuff. It should be there and you should be able to find by playlist. And then you can go and you can see exactly how we set it up in the radio setup. And sometimes we even have two versions of planes. So when you're looking through, make sure that you do an exhaustive search. You'll see lots of different things.
And this one will probably be in the sport category too. So if you want a fast, like you mentioned the V900, or if you want another pylon
V1200,
racer, you can
V900,
see similar.
Which, by the way, you're going to ask me the question. I know you will.
Okay.
V1200 or V900?
What's the answer?
900.
900.
All day long. Here's why. Retracts on the 1200 are very finicky. They're finicky. Now, the 1200 is insanely fast, but bang to buck, bang to size, you're not going to tell the difference. Plus, the blue is harder to see. The blue is very similar to this, and a sky like this, you're going to have a hard time seeing it. Whereas if you go V900, that thing is bright orange, beautiful. I wish the 1200 was closer to the same color scheme. Both good planes, both fly for what they are, which is an insanely fast plane. And I'm talking fast, like 140 miles an hour fast. They are challenging to take off. And people oftentimes complain that they can't get that tame. And so I'm going to tell you, if you don't have a long runway, you're gonna get killed on something like this without thrust reverse. So make sure you set up the thrust reverse. And that's one of the reasons why the 900 is so dang good, because you don't have to worry about the weak landing gear because it's just a belly lander. And you can fly that thing like an insane bat out of hell and then land it on the grass and you'll have a beautiful, fun experience. The only frustration with belly landers I've had, and I know a lot of you guys share this, is that you do get a little more wear and tear on the belly. And I remember I came in and landed, and I think I like broke the tip of one of my rudders or ailerons or something like that. It was just a super little quick glue job, but still annoyed me. So that's why I like wheels up and wheels down so much, folks. But I'm gonna tell you, the experience, the 900 is the way to go. And it's cheaper too, so why not get the cheaper one? I think it flies on 4S. 1200 flies up to 6S. So just a lot more expensive to battery too. All right, that's more than you bargained for on a Second Thoughts, guys. We really appreciate the outpouring of support you've given us recently, and we hope that you guys will come back for even more. Here on Brian Phillips RC, we do long format content. We want to stem the tide of AI and fake videos and people that are just doing nonsense online. This is a family-friendly, super fun, invigorating, difficult, and rewarding hobby that is flying RC planes, helicopters, quads, VTOLs, and all that stuff. And you're gonna see it right here on Brian Phillips RC, and even weed whackers and leaf blowers too. But all joking aside, guys, we really appreciate you being here with us. We couldn't do it without you. The NX10's been great. We have many numerous models on this thing. We're about out of model memory, so I don't know what we're gonna do next, but I'm kind of thinking I might be pushing up to the 20. And here's why. The NX lineup has been gorgeous and beautiful and huge, but the NX20 has a bigger screen. It might help us to help you guys, because when we film it, it's challenging sometimes on the smaller screen. In person, no problem.
Right.
In person, bright sun, no problem. In person, dark, no problem. Flying in the dark is a little bit tough though, but truthfully, we've been super happy with the screen. And by the way, that color we pick is to help with saturation changes on our camera. Because if you have the bright white backdrop and every time you go from here to there, you're gonna have a strange change in contrast. I know you didn't ask the question, but it's okay. You're on the other side of the camera.
They don't usually ask the questions.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys, that's all you got for today. Remember, Second Flight, 3200 4S 50C did fantastic, really long flight time, and I forgot to pay attention to the time. I apologize, but it was really long. And we were getting a pretty good flight time, like 6 minutes, excuse me, that would have been about 6.5 minutes on a 2200.
Over on the first one.
Yeah, I know, so about 6.5 minutes would be safe.
I'll link to both batteries.
Yeah, we'll link to the 2200 and the 3200. But just remember, that extra 50C instead of 30C might be worth something on a faster plane like this, just FYI. And then also, if you guys haven't seen what you want yet on Brian Phillips RC, it's because you haven't checked out brianphillipsrc.com. And that's because when you go over there, you can literally find all those other planes. I'm serious. We have like 2,000 videos right now, filmed, ready to go. Some of them like 10 hours long, which is insane. Okay, seriously.
Some of them aren't that long.
Some of them are not. Some of them are short, like one.
I started an old video the other day to look for an answer for somebody, and you're like, oh, this video is getting really long, and it was like 8 minutes long. It was hilarious.
Wow.
I was confused.
Yeah, I was confused too when you said that out loud. So guys, thanks for being here. There's so much more right around the corner. We hope you'll stay tuned. Thanks for watching.